Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I got news from Mr. Bloomberg, and that is the American people are sick and tired of billionaires buying elections.
Woo! Guess what, Bernie?
Michael Bloomberg is now in the next Democratic presidential debate Wednesday evening in Nevada. He did it by getting a fourth qualifying poll that puts him in double digits in 4 national polls. This poll, 19% in this new NPR Marist poll, behind only Bernie Sanders at 31%, and that reflects the new dynamic. Michael Bloomberg has suddenly become a front-running candidate for president.
Yes, he is, right? He is. People are taking a closer look at him. I've talked to a lot of moderates. I've talked to some Republicans. I've talked to some disgruntled Democrats over the last several days. They're looking hard at Bloomberg. They're looking hard at Bloomberg. Why? Because what they thought was going to be the person, Joe Biden, I think everybody recognizes now, he's not that guy, right? He's not that guy at all. What they thought was going to be the person who could beat Donald Trump is a mess. He's a mess. He's all over the place. He was on over the weekend, Meet the Press. Just a disaster.
South Carolina is it, isn't it? I mean, you have to win that.
Well, I think you have to do really well in it. But
well, is there such thing as doing well without winning for you?
Well, I think so. But look, it's right after that, on March the 4th, we end up with going into all the states, which the polling data is now showing me, doing incredibly well. Whether it's North Carolina or Georgia or Texas or any of those other places. So, look.
Yeah. Here's the reality of it. He's done. I think he's hoping and praying that something magical is going to happen. You can't even say now that you are going to win a thing that you were, quite frankly, I look at you, Biden, 3-4 weeks ago, you're up about 10, 12 points in South Carolina. It's now a foot race, and no offense, you're not qualified for the foot race. You're just not.
It's not an apt comparison, but Bill Clinton lost his first 8, 10, 12 primaries and caucuses before he won one. I don't plan on taking that long. But we're just getting into the meat of getting to the number of delegates you need to be able to win this election. And I'm confident we're going to be in good shape.
I don't think you are. I think Bloomberg is now taking over. Bloomberg's in this race because he saw that you were weak. I think he was willing to get behind you, and he saw that you were weak. I think he thought to himself, if he stays strong, I don't have to do this. He looks up now and he realizes, I've got no choice but to do this because you are not capable of winning. You're just not capable of winning. It's not. Right? You've served your purpose. You've done your stuff. I still don't think you're in this thing to win it. I think that you look back and you wish you wouldn't have got into this thing. And you're not very good at running for president. Let's be also honest about this. Not your first rodeo. What are we on? 3rd, 4th, 5th time you've run for president? And it's not been good for you. It's not. Now the question is, how good is Bloomberg? How good is he?
Mike Bloomberg is best suited to take on Donald J. Trump this November and beat him. And that's something I think is very important for the country. You're right. When I was a working reporter in Washington for 52 years, I never did anything like this. And I think it's very important now. We are in the grip of a sick, ignorant man. He's mean. He's corrupt. And if we don't get this right, we may lose the things that have made this country the best place to live in the world. And that shining city on the hill that Ronald Reagan used to talk about, which was the envy of the world. So I'm in it.
So, Sam Donaldson, he's in it. By the way, if Trump gets another 4 years, we're not going to lose anything. I just want to let everybody know that. I just want everybody relax because we get a little like, oh, my God, the world's coming to an end when the other side wins. But have you ever noticed that we're still always here? We're still always here. We're not going anywhere. All right? We're not. We're not going anywhere.
Thanks to Citizens United, the Supreme Court case, everybody's money can get in and do so. Bloomberg is putting his own money in. He's not going to be beholden to anybody when he wins this race. On the other side, Mr. Trump is getting money from Sheldon Adelson, the casino magnate, and that's okay, in Las Vegas, and other fat cats. So he's got a big war chest. And Bloomberg has a big war chest. And I'd rather have Bloomberg's money than their money, okay?
Yeah. And I'm fine with that. Bernie, on the other hand, would love to have your money.
You buy the presidency, at least he's going to try to buy the presidency, by spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on TV ads.
But it's his money, Bernie. That's just it. You want to buy the president using other people's money. You want everybody else to give you money so you can be president of the United States. He's saying to himself, I don't want anybody's money. I've got my own money. I'll spend my own money. This is what I'm going to do. Well, he's buying the presidency. You're doing the same thing, but you're doing it on other people's money. I'm okay with him rolling out ads. I got no problem with this. I'm a capitalist. He has every right to run for president of the United States. You don't like it? What do you want? Right? You want to run for president? You are. How are you doing it? How much money are you putting into your own campaign? Zero. You're putting your blood, sweat, and tears. Great. Fantastic. He's putting his own money. Well, it's not fair because why is it not fair? Why is it not fair? Just curious on why is it? He is doing his own thing. Got no problem with it. Tomorrow night, you'll have a chance to take swings at him all night long. Talk about how successful he is and how evil he is and how racist he is and all of those things. You'll have your chance to take him on. And I'll be curious. This will be the first debate that I'll really be paying attention to. All the other ones have been pander smurf after pander smurf. This one will be much different. And I think you're going to get some real knockout arguments here. And I think Mike, we'll find out. Is Mike for real? Right? Over the weekend, of course, everything was trending with the fact that a lot of people believe that he is touting Hillary to be his running mate. I don't know about that. Is it possible? Of course, anything's possible. I've said it all along. Hillary wants to be president. Hillary doesn't want to go through all of the stuff. Right? She doesn't want to go through all the stuff. She doesn't want to run. She doesn't want to be bothered. She wants to be anointed as the candidate and then become president. She doesn't want to do all of the other things. Is it possible? Yes. Did she continually leave the door open? Absolutely. That's what Hillary does. But the reality is we won't know for a while. And we were trying to figure out who do we think is going to be Bernie's running mate. That's going to be interesting. We'll talk about that because I look around and I think to myself, well, who could his running mate be? AOC's too young. You know, how old's Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, right? Ariana Presley. There's a couple of them out there, but I don't know who fits his style. It's not going to be Warren. It's not probably going to be Klobuchar if he was to get through. I don't know. She's been very outspoken against him, and that's the way you do it. I don't know who it would be. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can, yes, kid. You can text the program. You can check out the Instagram and everything. We're good with all of those things. Hope you had a good weekend, a nice 3-day weekend. I want to thank Craig for filling in for me. So much stuff to get to. We're going to try to cram it all in today. I mean, we got a lot of stuff to get into. Lots of fun stuff, lots of bizarre stuff, including are the 6-year-olds of this world the issue? Because it seems to be that they're the issue that is causing lots of frictions at school. 6-year-olds are dangerous. Wait till you hear some of these stories. It's just insane. Lightstream, kids. Credit card consolidation loans. Lightstream's the one. That's what you want. Right now, do you know what you're paying? Probably above 20%. I got sent a credit card offer the other day. It's like the first like year. It's like, you know, it's nice and easy, right? It's pretty simple. You know, it's like 7% or 5 point, you know, whatever. And then after that, it goes with like 24%. You're like, what are you talking about? That's insane. Lightstream's easy. Amazing. You can get your credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream. Rates as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay. Easy to do. Simple. You can get loans from $5,000 to $100,000. There's no fees. You can do it right from your phone. People ask me all the time, how real is it? I said, they're very real. They'll take care of you. So easy to do. Just get those payments down, get stuff manageable and controllable. Trust me, the stress will melt away. And just for being my listeners, you get a special interest rate discount. Go to lightstream.com/Benson, lightstream.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offer subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. It's the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where the sensible center hangs out. Hey, you! That doesn't mean you can put your feet up on the table.
You're despicable. This is Chad Benson.
The Boy Scouts see bankruptcy as a way to recover from the crush of lawsuits alleging molestation by scoutmasters. The filing puts those suits on hold while the court supervises the payment of some claims and a possible reorganization of the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, it's ugly for the Boy Scouts. Overnight, they filed for bankruptcy protection, and that's what you had to do.
The Scouts say they intend to use the Chapter 11 process to create a victims' compensation trust. Their president saying, quote, "The BSA cares deeply about all victims of abuse and sincerely apologizes to anyone who was harmed during their time in scouting." Now, they also say scouting programs will continue for their nearly 2.2 million members.
Yeah, and that's just, I don't know how much longer they're going to go on. I think at the end of the day, Scouts is pretty much screwed this bad press, on top of the fact that people have been moving away from Scouts for a very long time. This younger generation isn't into scouting like they once were, and that's evident. Jack, my son, is 9. He does scouting, but at times he'll tell me how boring it is, and other times he likes it. And if they have to modernize, and it's funny, they'll say, "Well, we are modernized. We're doing stuff." Yeah, but I go to some of his meetings. I go to some of the stuff that he does. It's not as modern as you think. It's not. I know you want to have, still keep some of the old and bring in some of the new, but you're not doing it as fast. And you look at business, right? If you do not adapt, you will die. If you don't adapt to the way the world is, to where it's going, you will die. Remember BlackBerries, right? 10 years ago, 12 years ago, they were the thing to have. Dead now. Don't even know. Did they file bankruptcy? Can you still get a BlackBerry? I don't know. But I know what you can get. You can get an iPhone, right? You can get a Galaxy. You can get all kinds of different things. Adapt or die. That's it. I watch football. I watch a ton of football. I love football. What's happening in the world of football now? Running quarterbacks that are mobile, right? Gone now are the days where you're just going to be stand back, drop, pass. Different time, different era. It is now something completely different. And you've got to adapt to it or you will pay the price. Scouts didn't do that. Like newspapers didn't do it. What did they want to do? They wanted to continue to do the same thing over and over again, hoping they were going to get the same results while everything else around them was telling them that's not going to happen. And lo and behold, now what? I don't know. What I do know right now is they're in a lot of trouble. That is absolutely the truth.
While we love to focus on numbers and counts, is it 15 cases? Is it 16 cases? Is it 30 cases? Remember, we are a population of 330 million people. There are 1 million travelers that come into the U.S. every single day, according to the CDC. China has a massive problem, and their numbers are also muddy because they're using all kinds of different diagnostic criteria. They don't have the ability, we think, to accurately diagnose cases. So we don't really care how many diagnosed firm numbers they're releasing. We care how many people may be infected and haven't even been tested. That's the tip of the iceberg phenomenon.
That's the reality of, we still don't know. The way that we've talked about the fact that China has played this game when it comes to the coronavirus, which is not really the way that they test comparatively to the way that somebody inside of the country may test. You go to a clinic there and they test you and they say, yes, you've got coronavirus, but the government's not counting you. Their official count is 73,000 with about 1,900 dead. Unofficially, some people are saying it's closer to 120, 140,000 with maybe 4,000 dead. We don't know the truth. And part of that is because of what? It's not about the statistics, the numbers, or the loss of life. It's about dollar bills. It's about yen. It's about the euro. It's about the economy. That's what it's about. And they're looking around saying, we've got to get this thing under control, right? You go look at Japan. They are revising. They're down. Their economy is struggling right now. Potential of it taking even a bigger hit right in front of the Olympics. Come out Friday. What do they say? You know what? Probably going to see this thing go through all of this year into next year. On top of that, you've got cases now all over the globe, and they're worried. What happens when it lands into a place that isn't as modern? Say what you want about China. China is a modern place. While they have a draconian, evil, communistic government that stamps down on freedoms, as far as the gadgets and the widgets and the modern technology, they have it. What happens if it gets into a place where it's not so modern, right? Here, we're pretty fairly modern, right? We got some stuff going for us, right? Canada, modern. Britain, modern. What happens if it gets into a place like India or Africa, where a third world isn't going to be in a situation to deal with this thing, and you see how fast it's spreading? That is a real fear. And the economy is another fear. And Xi's doing everything he can to make sure that he tries to tap down the negative news. Because you saw what Apple did. Apple came out and said, "Hey, we're struggling. Why is that? We didn't hit the area that we thought we were going to hit in our." So, in our, we look out and we go and we say, all right, we've got this and we're going to, project out to here. We did this and we're going to get to here. And then lo and behold, this happens and they're struggling with the iPhone and there's a lot of issues here. And that can be traced back in many cases to something like this. So there's a global effect beyond the sickness. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. She's 6 and apparently she's uber dangerous. It's the evil, bad world of 6-year-olds, which are really the real plague here in the United States. You can text the program. Check out the Instagram as well. Again, Bloomberg in the debate tomorrow night. What will happen? Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Well, I'm not sure they can stop him. And again, remember, this all comes against the backdrop of 2016 and all the complaints that Bernie Sanders made after, and a lot of rules changes, for instance, diminishing the role of the superdelegates that were made in response to the complaints from Bernie Sanders. So let's say that you could argue he got the most votes in Iowa. He got the most votes in New Hampshire. If he gets the most votes in Nevada, he's absolutely the front runner for the nomination.
Chris Wallace right there. Yeah, I don't know right now at this point if there wasn't a Bloomberg, if it would be over. I don't know. Is it possible? Yeah. Do I think it's going to happen? No, because I think Bloomberg still has a place to play in this. Even if that means keeping Bernie close to the pack, where others may pick up steam later on down the road, that is also a possibility.
He's also got a clear lane on the left because Elizabeth Warren seems in such trouble, while that more moderate lane is all clogged up. You got the Buttigieg caravan and you got the Klobuchar caravan. You got Joe Biden hanging on, and Super Tuesday, you now got Michael Bloomberg. So you could see them all cutting up that voting block while Bernie Sanders is winning on the other side. So it's going to be a very interesting political argument. Look, even if he has, let's say, the most delegates going into Milwaukee in July, the national convention, can you stop him? Should you stop him?
That's also something, too. Should you stop him? Should you? It's going to be a brokered convention at that point. If he can't get to the 1,900 he needs, it is going to be a brokered convention. And imagine this. You've got to go there and convince. Who's going to be his running mate? Don't know. What if it's Ilhan Omar? She's 38. She can run. All right? You got Ayanna Pressley and Rashid Tlaib, both in their 40s. They could be his running mate. Stacey Abrams apparently would love. Of course, Stacey Abrams failed to win her race in Atlanta, but she is very, in Georgia. She's very excited to be vice president.
And while you're not running at the moment, a lot of people want to see you on that ticket.
I'm now getting the question a lot from folks. And the answer is, of course, I would be honored to run for vice president with the nominee. It's a bit disconcerting because it seems really obnoxious for me to say that out loud since I'm not, no one's asked me.
Yes, nobody's asked you, but you're very excited about it.
What I want people to understand is that the issue is, as a woman of color, especially as a black woman, this is an unusual position to be in for someone to be considered possibly the next vice president. And it would be doing a disservice to every woman of color, every woman of ambition, every child who wants to think beyond their known space for me to say no or to pretend, oh, no, I don't want it. Of course I want it.
You also see yourself running as president, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sure she probably will. They love her. See, this isn't just about whether or not Bernie can win the nomination. You've got to be able to also make some of those people who are part of the establishment happy. They like Stacey Abrams. They love her. They see her as an upcoming star. They think all of those things. But we also, I don't know if Bernie would do that. I think Bernie would choose one of the squad. AOC's too young. So you got to that's gone. So you got to choose somebody from the squad, somebody who is going to match his think. And that is that super uber progressive side of things. People say, well, what if somebody like Klobuchar? Look, she is not, she would help him in middle America. But this is my thing with Bernie. Bernie wants people that think like Bernie. Bernie doesn't have time for anybody else.
I'm the only one on that debate stage when asked, do you have a problem with a socialist leading the Democratic ticket, that I said yes. And that is despite the fact that Bernie and I are friends. And my argument is that we don't just have to win an election by eking by a victory at 4 a.m. We've got to win big. And I'm the one with the track record that brings people with me, that wins in the reddest of red rural areas as well as suburban areas. People are much more pragmatic. They want plans and not pipe dreams.
Yeah. So I don't think it would be her. I think it would be somebody that is more in line with what Bernie's about than somebody they're reaching for. That's why, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Bloomberg, who qualified for tomorrow night's debate, gets to the point where it looks like it's between the two of them and he decides to get Hillary on board. That does change a lot of things. Say what you want about a younger generation that doesn't like Hillary and the Clintons and the Bushes and all of this. You know, they're oligarchs and they're all. No. Here's the reality of it. That would make a lot of people smile over there. And at the end of the day, if it goes to a brokered convention, that may put him over it. That may put him over the hump. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. So last week we did a story. You guys might remember this young girl, Down syndrome.
A child's outburst in the Valley Forge Elementary kindergarten class drew a threat assessment and led to a police investigation we're told was initiated by the school district.
So 6-year-old girl, Down syndrome, did a little finger gun thing, threat assessment, police, the whole 9 yards. Six, mind you, with Down syndrome. Threat assessment, as you know, dangerous, very dangerous. I don't know what kind of finger gun she had. I don't know what was in the magazine. I don't know what caliber any of it was. I don't know if it was automatic, semi-automatic. I had no idea what it was, but apparently it was dangerous enough to call the police. Now we move to somewhere else because another 6-year-old also apparently uber dangerous.
No, you're not going to jail. This police body camera video shows a Duval County Sheriff's deputy leading a seemingly calm 6-year-old Nadia out of school on February 4th. In the car, the conversation continued.
This your first time riding in it? Ooh, cool.
snack? No, I don't have any snack. I wish I did. I'm sorry.
The deputies heard talking to another officer about Nadia's behavior while in her custody.
She's been actually very pleasant.
I think it's more of them just not trying to deal with it.
So, Nadia, struggling there just a smidge, right? Thinks that, hey, what's going on here? Are we having some fun? What did I do? What did I do? Huh? I'm just curious. Police are here. Why?
At one point, it appears little Nadia did not understand where she was going.
Again, she's 6 years old.
Well, I call it a field trip. Anything away from school is a field trip, right?
The girl, who has ADHD and a mood disorder, was held in a mental health facility away from her mother for 48 hours.
What?
The girl's mother, Martina Falk, sitting with her attorney, broke down while watching the video.
I would lose my... I would absolutely lose it. My 6-year-old? You can't handle my 6-year-old? You can't handle my 6-year-old? Are you kidding me?
They argue Nadia should have never been placed under Florida's Baker Act, which allows authorities to force a psychiatric evaluation on anyone deemed a threat to themselves or others, including children.
If you can't deal with a 50-pound child, 6-year-old, then you shouldn't be in education.
Officials with Duval County Public Schools say an initial review showed the school's handling was compliant both with law and the best interest of this student.
She's going on a field trip to hell. That's where she's going. And her life is forever changed.
I love what he said there. If you can't control a 6-year-old, then maybe you need to think about some other line of work. We have lost the plot in this, and we put teachers and administrators too much pressure on them with all of these weird rules, right? There's, no exceptions. Gone are the days when you'd slap little Jimmy in the back of the head and tell him to get his work done. Not hit him hard, but just, put your gun, stop it, right? Just do your stuff. Long gone are those days. Now it's, we need to get a threat assessment team. We need to call the police. We need to go through all these checks and balances and the whole 9 yards. Well, Chad, what happens when they grow up and they kill a bunch of people? Are we doing this? Because based on the fact that she's got ADHD, I had no doubt in my mind, 0 doubt, that had been me. Right? Like, I have 0 doubt in my mind. Me and what I was like as a child, I would have been the Baker Act, right? Like, that would have been, the Cook Act, just making stuff up, the Candle Act, the Beeswax, it doesn't matter. They would have come for me. They would have. Because I was all over the place. I was bouncing off the walls. I was like Tigger. I wasn't mean, wasn't rude, didn't threaten to kill anybody, right? Although we played cops and robbers as a kid, and as you know nowadays, you can't do stuff like that. But there is no doubt in my mind they would have. I mean, I was so annoying that my 5th grade class, I remember this, Mr. Barnes, I think his name was my teacher. So he had been warned of me. So he didn't give me a chance. So the rest of the class was facing one direction. I was at his desk, which was behind them. So you've got you walk in the door, you got his desk, and then everybody else and he's facing one way, and everybody else is facing that direction. But not me. I was sitting in front of his desk facing him. There's no doubt in my mind that had been me. But you know what he'd do? He'd hit me on the head and said, stop being a jerk. Right? That's it. And we get on with our lives. Calm down. Nowadays, threat assessment, police, right? Going to some sort of padded room to see and to have observation to see if maybe, just maybe, you're a threat. That is a sad state of affairs. And I do agree. Maybe, just maybe, you need to rethink some of these things. Some of these things you need to rethink. And I feel for the teachers who are in a situation now where they feel they have to follow all of these crazy rules, that common sense has completely gone out, and you've got to follow these rules to a T in such a way that it's just completely stupid. Completely. Right? Who's a little bit crazy? My Sunday school class, I can tell, right? At any given week, I have between 15 and about 20, and I know who the kids are that are a pain in the butt. They're good kids by and large, but you know that they're trouble, right? You know that they're going to fight, and you know that they're going to, goof around, and they're going to be, you know who they are. Do I think at any moment any one of them is going to go, I could see this kid's going to be 25 and ready to blast? No, I don't think so. It's insane. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Again, Bloomberg tomorrow night going to be on stage.
They're trying to figure out all kinds of ways. How do we stop Bernie and the movement? But they are not going to succeed.
We'll see. This Saturday, a caucus in Nevada, followed by South Carolina, not too far behind that. And then again on the 4th of March, that's the big day. That is Super Tuesday. That is when Bloomberg will be on stage. As far as being able to actually start. Tomorrow night he's on stage in the debate, but that's when he'll be on stage in the sense where he could start grabbing some delegates and he'll be a part of Super Tuesday. Because the caucus in South Carolina, minus write-ins and a few other things, I don't think he's getting anything out of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. All right, my pillows. Last night I sat in the jacuzzi. Wasn't feeling well this weekend. A little bit of cold, right? And it was nice that I'd scheduled a day off anyways, and I just rested. But I sat in the jacuzzi late last night. It was really chilly. And got out, and I had one of my big new MyPillow towels. Boom. Just dried off really fast. Went back inside the house and passed out. It was awesome. MyPillow's incredible. These towels, 5 different designer color choices, luxury feel and look, super absorbent, extra soft, made in the USA, 100% USA cotton. You get a 60-day money-back guarantee. Right now you can save 30%. Simple and easy. Now, here's the great thing about these. Why they're so amazing is the cotton's grown right here. It is USA cotton. So there's no fillers or cheap softeners. You wash them, they still stay fluffy and so nice. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the brand new radio listener special. There's a little thing there, new radio listener special. Type in code Benson, you save 30%. Again, you get a 60-day money-back guarantee. MyPillow.com, new radio listener special, 30% off, 60-day money-back guarantee. All you have to do is enter code Benson, B-E-N-S-O-N. Chad Benson Show.
Warning, no snowflake zone. Uninformed opinions are in danger of melting. The Chad Benson Show.
I am living my best life on Earth.
Sonic the Hedgehog truly is raking in an estimated $70 million in North America for the 4-day weekend, $20 million more than the high end of expectations. Its Friday, Saturday, Sunday haul of $58 million is the best ever for a movie based on a video game, beating last year's Pokemon Detective Pikachu by a couple of million, and a big Oscar bump for Parasite.
I'm deadly serious.
The Best Picture winner scoring an estimated $6.8 million Friday through Monday, the film's best ever weekend showing.
Yeah, I went and saw Sonic. I loved it. I thought it was great. I had so much fun. The kids were laughing our butts off. It was awesome. It was awesome. Just stupid. That's exactly what I wanted. Right? That's exactly what I wanted from that movie. Just going, smiling, laugh on my face, 90 minutes, kids all laughed. There was enough in there for the adults and the kids. It was great. Absolutely perfect. But when you look at it, man, it blew away expectations. It absolutely blew away expectations. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. Getting closer and closer and closer to the end of the Weinstein case. As the jurors are getting ready to sit down and figure out what to do, there's the question that I've been asking over and over again if I am a juror.
While these women's accounts were deeply traumatic and difficult to hear, and you could feel the pain in their recounting of these attacks, I think the jurors are going to have to try and square those incidents with the fact that these 2 complaining witnesses continue to maintain relationships with Weinstein for quite a long time afterwards.
Yeah, that is the question I would have. If I'm a juror and I continue to see that these people had relationships, of which in many cases they continued to be the ones who pursued Weinstein. They continued to be the ones who pushed a relationship with him. I have a real problem with that if I'm a juror. Not saying he didn't do some things wrong. I'm just saying that's an issue I have. That is absolutely an issue I have, that you are continuing to push forward with a relationship. You're reaching out to him. You're sending him love notes. You're doing things that seem to be pursuing him, all the while saying that these things happen to you. And remember, in a situation like this, you just need to put doubt into a juror's mind. And it would be hard not to have some doubt as to the validity of what he's saying, that they were in this thing and they knew what was going on and that they pursued him, and that only after the fact that it's a money grab. You could think, hey, you know what? As horrible, and I'm not dismissing anything that happened, because I see from their point of view as well. But then I ask myself a question: why do you continue to go and try to have a relationship with somebody who at the same time you believe is vile and nasty and a rapist and a sexual assaulter? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from all of you. Check out the Instagram. It's simple. Chad Benson Show. Well, don't get any easier than that. And we got Facebook too. The Chad Benson Show. See what I'm talking about there? So easy and simple. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The billionaire businessman and former mayor of New York has spent $381 million plus of his own money blanketing the airwaves with ads, slamming Senator Bernie Sanders, accusing his campaign of fostering negative energy and highlighting the online anger of some of his supporters, so-called Bernie bros. Sanders firing back.
You're not going to buy this election.
Now Bloomberg qualifying to debate his Democratic rivals face-to-face for the first time with just hours to spare.
Here's what's going to happen tomorrow night. So Bloomberg has qualified. Tomorrow night's going to be the first debate that I'm excited to actually pay some attention to. Right, because the first 4 or 5 were 28 people on stage. Nobody was really having anything more than a soundbite. But as it's thinned out a little bit more, I think tomorrow night Bernie and his bros are going to come hard. But I think Bloomberg's going to ask some questions back to him about, hey, what you want to do with this country? Where do you want to take it? What about the taxes? He's going to really hit him with some stuff that I think is going to make that middle group think. Right? And here's the other thing with all of that going on. So you're going to have that battle. They're going to go back and forth. It's going to be taking away time. And I think other people that are going to be watching this going, I like what Bloomberg's saying. I like what Bloomberg's saying. Right? Take away the craziness over the weekend of Hillary trying to talk Hillary into running. And Hillary, of course, never, ever slams the door. She still wants to be asked. She wants to be begged. Would you please? We have bended upon thy knee. We ask that Miss Hillary Clinton of the Clintons, could you thine please rise and come be vice president of the United States candidacy, please? Could you please? She wants that. So, but tomorrow night we'll see them pitted. We've got the exact opposites. We have a 78-year-old socialist, or whatever, he's 77, right? Who wants to radically change America. He wants to burn the whole thing down and restart it. And then you've got a guy that used to be a Republican, then was an independent, and is now a Democrat, who is uber capitalistic, who was the mayor of one of the biggest cities in the world, has some baggage himself, but for the Democrats, doesn't really scare them like he does. Like he does. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what takes place. And again, Bloomberg has some issues, but I don't think that people are paying that much attention to it, because the biggest issue that a lot of people see on that stage is a socialist. That is a huge issue for a lot of people. A socialist. Yeah, but a socialist. That is a big issue. I don't care what anybody says. That is a big issue. More Americans on both sides of the aisle, including the Democratic aisle, would not vote for a socialist. So you could say a lot of things about, well, look what he did was stop and frisk and a lot of other things. But that socialist word scares a lot of people. And those people tend to be older. And what they tend to be is consistent in how they vote, meaning they show up to vote. And that is something that matters. Absolutely.
Now, I'm a speed reader, so I was reading ahead. I knew I was there. And it got past like about a third of it, and I thought, this is terrible. I realized that almost every page had something in it that was objectionable. So it wasn't a planned thing. It seems that if you want to get press, you have to get attention. So I thought, well, let's get attention on the fact that what he said here today was not true.
Okay, first and foremost, you're not a speed reader. I'm a speed reader. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. You're not a speed anything. I'm going to throw it out there, Nancy. So you're reading his State of the Union, and you're a speed reader, according to you. So you're reading God knows how many words a minute. Right? In bold, giant. Did you see how big that paper was? It's like one letter written on each word. It's not very nice, Chad.
He was acquitted. His poll ratings are high.
There was no acquittal. You can't have an acquittal unless you have a trial. And you can have a trial and you have witnesses and documents. So he can say he's acquitted and the headlines can say acquitted. But he's impeached forever, branded with that, and not vindicated.
But he's acquitted. He'll always be impeached, but he was acquitted. But he'll always be impeached, but he was acquitted. He wasn't acquitted, but he was. But he'll always be impeached. That's true. But the acquittal is also true. Can't have one without the other. Now, we can debate the merits of whether or not there should have been more of this and some of these things, and Bolton should have testified and a few others. And at the same time, we could ask the question of should there have been a few others brought in front from the Democratic side, including the whistleblower and several others, and which we talked about this during the impeachment trial. Both sides want to have it their way. They wanted to have people up and on their side, and they were the only ones to ask questions, and nobody else could cross-examine him. That wasn't going to be. That wasn't going to be. You know that, and I know that.
This is an abuse of power that the president is again trying to manipulate federal law enforcement to serve his political interest. This all must be investigated.
Yeah, so they're not giving up on all of that, looking for abuse of power when she was talking to Christiana Amanpour. Will they stop? That's a fair question. Are they going to stop? Have they taken it, at least for now, as far as they possibly can in hopes that they can tip the Senate and grab even more of the House? That's a possibility, too. Because if you continue to overreach over and over again, no matter what happens, people are going to get bored with it. They're already exhausted from it. Doesn't mean it's over for them. But I love this.
Oh, I can't even envision a situation where he would be reelected. But we don't take anything for granted. We have to have our own vision for the future. But everybody knows that we must be unified in making sure that he does not have a second term. Our country is great. The American people are wonderful. We're a resilient country. We can withstand one term. But the destruction that he would do to the courts of our country and the environment, he must be defeated.
Yeah. What did I say last week? His legacy overall will be the courts. She said it right there. These are the things that nobody talks about, which is she understands him tipping the courts in such a way, especially if he got another term, knowing full well that he's probably going to have one, maybe two other judges, will tip the balance in the courts to the point where it will take decades for the Democrats to have a chance to get back. That's the way they look at it. That will be his ultimate legacy. And what he's done in the lower courts as well on the federal side is huge. Mitch McConnell said it last week. It's been the best thing. That's what he's been focused on. Because we understand that while we have co-equal branches of government, the reality is in this day and age, one branch has kind of gave away a lot of their power. They're trying to take some of it back, right? The legislative branch has given away some of their power. The executive branch has a little bit more, but ultimately, so many of the things that we have nowadays, so many of those controversial things end up where? At the Supreme Court. And because we're a litigious society, most everything we do now ends up at the Supreme Court. And because of that, having the courts in your favor, because even if it doesn't, they decide, hey, you know what, we're not going to take this up. It's been adjudicated below. We're fine with that. What that means is if you had the federal courts in your favor, the lower courts, and they rule in your favor on more than a few occasions, you know, even if this is what I don't think people understand. And I try to explain that to them because they're like, no, his legacy is going to be this. Or, no, I said his legacy is going to be this. Because when they decide, hey, we're not taking up a case, the lower court ruling will be the final ruling. So if you've got all of those things lined up in your favor, which he has done, which Mitch McConnell and the Republicans have quietly done, that is huge. That is very huge. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. It is ugly. It is nasty. The coronavirus is growing.
And in fact, the people who have gone out and, hoarded these surgical masks have put a real stress on the healthcare system. They're not in hospitals where they need to be. They're not in clinics where they need to be. So that's the biggest myth.
Yeah. That these things are going to stop anything from happening. Right now, we're over 75 to 80,000, depending on what site. Some sites have it way more than that, at least 1,900 plus death. Plus, the Wuhan hospital director, kind of at the center of all this, has died from the coronavirus. So what does it really look like? That's a question that people are asking themselves because they still don't think the Chinese are being transparent. Not a shocker. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Shows your Twitter. AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, put together by a wonderful man by the name of Dan Weber, who passed away, unfortunately, a couple weeks ago. Just a good dude who looked around and said he was looking for like-minded people who were sick and tired of watching the lobbyists go out there and not lobby on behalf of what he thought this country needed, which was common sense immigration reform, real reforms to Social Security and Medicare, where they said, hey, we want these things to be solvent. You guys are paying no attention to this. You pay attention to everything else but these things. So he put together AMAC. On top of that, he offered benefits. And I want to offer benefits that ARP and everybody else does, and I'll make them bigger. And he did. And he did. His legacy still lives on, and AMAC now is offering my listeners a free membership. Simple and easy. Go to amac.us/Chad. You get a free membership for 1 year. It's not going to cost you a penny. There's no tricks, no credit card required, nothing, just a free membership. Go to amac.us/Chad. See all the things they offer. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, discounts to movies, discounts to amusement parks. You name it, they've got it. And they'll answer your questions and so many things. They'll find you experts from insurance to, yes, even if you have a question about Medicare and Social Security, you can call them up and they'll help you with it. amac.us/Chad. It's 1 year. It's a membership. It's on me. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Plea deal this.
Mueller, arrest me.
Chad will trade you 2 perjury charges for 1 collusion and throw in a reduced charge of obstruction for free.
Yeah, I'd do that.
for just listening to The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let's take a look, see what's trending. Interesting stuff over the weekend. Some very interesting stuff trending. Obviously, Ryan Newman wreck. If you didn't see it yesterday, end of the Daytona 500. No way! Yeah, massive wreck. He is in serious but stable condition. Karen and I were just talking. How he survived that is just insane. Just a horrific wreck. But he did survive. So right now, serious but stable. What that means, don't know. Kaitlin Bennett is trending on the old Google. She is the gun girl, they call her. Right? Gun girl. Kaitlin Bennett. She went to Kent State. She of the fame of having the picture of her in her cap and gown holding a gun, and she went to Kent State, and she went to Ohio University. She was chased off by a bunch of protesters because she was trying to promote open carry, and of course the protesters, being open-minded as they all are and woke, chased her off. And Amy Harwick, you don't know who she is. She's the former fiance of Drew Carey, but she was a famous sex therapist, and she was found murdered the other day. They arrested her ex-boyfriend, who she had gotten some restraining orders against. It was an ugly situation. And Plymouth Rock. Vandals cover over Plymouth Rock in red graffiti as people celebrate 400 years. 400 years, and they celebrated this by doing that, obviously to send a point. Whether or not it was heard, do not know. Go over to Twitter. What do you have? Lots of stuff. All right, let's talk about it. John Bolton. Why is he trending? Because he's John Bolton. That's why. And he's pissed and he's angry. That's why. I can't talk about it. How fair is that? I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. I want to talk about it. I can't talk about it. He's upset and angry. And it's funny, last night I look at the TV, at Twitter, and I'm like, so 2-3 weeks ago, Bolton was the fans on the left had changed. They'd fall in love with Bolton because Bolton was going to come out and destroy the president. But now they're mad at him because he's pimping his book, and he can't talk about the fact that his book has some stuff in it. He's worried he's going to be censored, but we're supposed to be boycotting his book as well because we don't want him to make any money. We want him to tear down the president, but we don't want him to make any money, and he's upset about all of that, and you just sit there and laugh at this entire thing. I don't know what to make of it.
In his first public appearance since the Senate impeachment trial, former National Security Advisor John Bolton teased the contents of his unpublished book and complained that the White House is censoring him. At an event at Duke University Monday night, Bolton was asked if he agrees with the president that his phone call with Ukraine was perfect. Bolton would only say, quote, "You'll love chapter 14. He called the Ukraine parts of his book, quote, like the sprinkles on the ice cream sundae. Bolton did not testify before Congress during the impeachment.
So you remember this, and we talked about it. Bolton... If you go, I don't care who you are, you go work for the White House, you have to sign all these non-disclosures. There's certain things you're not going to be allowed to talk about. And that's not just them. You go work for a major star or many of these things. They will prohibit you from writing a book about particular things. They will have the right to essentially shut you down to particular things. So is it censorship? No, going in. He got a fat advance. About $2 million was his advance. So you got to sell books, and he's probably not giving that money back, and they're worried that he is. Here's what they're going to fight to get it back if they're not allowed to publish his book. So he's probably spent some of that money. He doesn't want to give it back, and they are going to be pissed and want it back if he can't release the book. So we'll see what takes place. This will be very interesting. This will be a cat and mouse game going on here for a while. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. The Astros are speaking out. And quite frankly, I'm not impressed. We'll touch on that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Michael Bloomberg's trying to repent. Do you believe his apology? It came 4 days before he announced his campaign for president.
When he made the apology at a church in Brooklyn, he got in the car and called me, and I told him one speech is not going to solve this. Whether I believe it or not, it really doesn't matter. One speech is not going to solve it. 3-4 days later, he announces. I think that he's got to prove it. The only thing that gives him a semblance of credibility is that the other candidates have to deal with their baggage as well.
Who's got clean hands?
Good question, Chuck Todd. And you know what? Of all the people, when you want to find who's got clean hands and you want to go to somebody, nobody is better to go to that speaks for all people of color. A person whose hands are as clean as they come than Al Sharpton. That's who that is. You got to go and you have to bow down to Al Sharpton.
Who's got clean hands?
That's exactly right. You have Joe Biden with the crime bill. You have Bernie Sanders, who voted for the crime bill. You have Mayor Pete, who had his problems in South Bend. You have Amy Klobuchar with a 16-year-old. They all need to come clean. The minister side of me is repent now, because everyone needs to be held accountable.
The minister side of me, which there's very little, because I'm more of a person who likes to scream and yell and make a bunch of money off of tragedies and race. More of a race baiter, but the minister side of me, of which I'm really not. Again, and by the way, when he talks about A.B. Klobuchar and the 16-year-old, there wasn't some scandal of her sleeping with a 16-year-old or anything like that. It had to do with what took place in her home state when it came to a situation between the police and a young 16-year-old African-American boy. When he says that, I'm like, oh, wait, what?
Mayor Pete's trying to repent. Michael Bloomberg's trying to repent. Joe Biden's trying to repent. How are they doing?
I think that they have got to deal with it in a frontal way. You cannot repent by justifying the sin. You can't say, yeah, I might have done wrong, but no, I was wrong. I should be forgiven. And this is what I'm going to do to make amends. In my church, when you repent, you come down the aisle and confess. You don't start negotiating with God how it wasn't that sinful.
Yeah, but in your church, you have to go through you first to get to God. And I don't think that's really what people want to do. No offense, Al. Right? No offense. Right? Not buying anything you're selling. Got to be honest with you. I think you're full of it. I think most people think you're full of it. And yet you continue to have a place where people will put you on. And they don't ask you any real questions. Like, you had issues as well. Go back and look at some of the things that you've been through. And who are you to talk about sins? Everybody's a sinner, kids. Got news for you. Everybody falls short. That's just the reality. Everybody has. And Bloomberg's got to answer for some of the things that he said in the past. Absolutely. He's had some issues. He said some things in the past. They're resurfacing.
Black and Latino males aged, let's say, 16 to 25 that don't have jobs, don't have any prospects, don't know how to find jobs, don't know what their skill sets are, don't know how to behave in the workplace.
You know, you take anything, though, out of context. You go listen to some of the stuff he says, and he's rising amongst African Americans. Why? Well, stop and frisk was awful and horrible. He looks back and says, yes, it was. It was. But at the same time, remember, in a lot of those areas, they were predominantly people of color. And he felt he was going to a place where most of the phone calls were coming from, where most of the quote-unquote crime was happening. So he went there and thought he was doing the right thing. And I think people of color say, hey, you know what? We think he was trying to police in an area that needed policing. You didn't like how he did it.
I got to tell you, what he said about redlining was overt, legally sanctioned discrimination against African Americans and all people of color. It created a wealth gap in America that still persists today. And for Michael Bloomberg to blame the inability of the banks to continue to discriminate against people is outrageous. Anyone who thinks that should not be the leader of our party.
Yeah. So redlining, right? So people say, well, what's redlining? Because, we're talking about all this stuff. Bloomberg, at the height of the housing crisis, says that, hey, you know what? The bias practices that stop banks from providing more mortgages to low-income, largely minority neighborhoods was to blame for the collapse. That was partially to blame. We don't want to talk about that, right? Because we've gone out there. And I said last week, how many people out there bought a house you couldn't afford? You knew you couldn't afford it, but you thought, I'm going to take an opportunity, get this house that's awesome. They're going to give me, sight unseen, just on my word, not just the value of the house. They're going to give me more money on top of that. Why? Because they thought, well, I can't lose. I'm going to have this house. Yes, my wife and Olin, between the two of us, we only make X amount of dollars a year. But the first, I don't have any kind of real payments coming for a while. I'll be able to do this. And at that point in time, the house will be worth so much, I could sell it. So many people thought and bought into something. We thought, we're just going to give everybody a loan. Let's go out and give everybody a loan. You're watching houses that are exploding in price. And you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, this is ridiculous. You can't afford that. You're an assistant manager at a Taco Bell. Your wife or husband is a part-time CNA. You guys cannot afford a $600,000 house. But they were doing that. And that was a real issue. That was an absolute real issue that needed to be dealt with. Nobody wants to talk about those kind of things. It's just easier to go, oh, the bankers on Wall Street screwed it up for everybody. He's got other things to answer for.
Intelligent cuts rather than this sequestering thing, which would devastate defense. There is a ways to slowly decrease the benefits or raise the eligibility age for Medicare and for Social Security. There's a ways to have more copay on Medicaid, which will do two things. One, the users of the service will pay a little more, but two, they'll think twice before they use services. So the services they use will be those that are really needed and not stuff that would be nice to have.
Yeah. Oh, how dare you talk about stuff like that? Well, things that need to be addressed, right? We're living longer. We're more productive longer. People are having to work a little bit longer. They're looking around going, well, should we raise some of these rates here? Should we raise it to, instead of 62 or 65 to 70? Should we do some of these things? This is the one that's getting a lot of talk today.
If you're bleeding, they'll stop the bleeding. If you need an X-ray, you're going to have to wait. That's just, and all of these costs keep going up. Nobody wants to pay any more money. And at the rate we're going, healthcare is going to bankrupt us. And we've got to sit here and say which things we're going to do and which things we're not. Nobody wants to do that. If you show up with prostate cancer and you're 95 years old, we should say, go and enjoy, have a nice day, live a long life. There's no cure, and you can't do anything. If you're a young person, we should do something about it. Society's not willing to do that yet.
Don't we all think that way? But saying it sounds different. You're 95. My grandmother was really sick. She had dementia. She had cancer. No reason to keep her alive, right? Just make her comfortable in her final months, and ended up being a little bit longer than that. That's kind of, I get what he's saying, right? We don't want to talk about that. You're 22. You have your life ahead of us. It's a much different story. It's not about, oh, we should keep people alive. I got to be honest. At 95, do you really want to go through all that stuff that may kill you anyway? But what happens is it's the fear that, well, it won't be 95. Soon it'll be 75. Then it'll be 65. Then it'll be, what's your value to society? That's how people are going to spend it. But we talked about last week the man who was the fireman who was suspended for running in and trying to save a 95-year-old's life, and went against all the protocol, didn't tell anybody, tried to be the hero, run in there. And I said, look, I have to be honest with you. At 95, If it's a toddler, a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 20-year-old, you'd be lying to yourself, right? You put extra oomph on it. Why? Because you look and say somebody's lived a long life, and is it willing? That sounds stupid and horrible to say, and I'll say it because I don't care if I get the blowback from it. Not that we disvalue anybody's life, but there's a certain thing that goes with it. And he said, look, if somebody's bleeding, if something's going on, you do all you possibly can. But when it comes to other things, no, you have to make a certain call. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. He's on stage tomorrow night. That will be very, 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 very interesting to see how that plays itself out. How will he do against Bernie? Because Bernie's coming. And they're going to fight it out. And Bernie's going to talk about, it's the money, you're trying to buy it. I don't think he's trying to buy it. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to pay for his ads and his campaign on his dime. Quite frankly, I find that refreshing. That's just me. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. You can text the program as well. Wounded Paw Project, amazing organization. I've been involved with them for a while. Ernesto and everybody's put this organization together that really is changing the lives of veterans, first responders, and their family who are struggling with injuries and PTSD, and also changing the lives of the animals that they rescue and take from shelter dog to service dog. And they're doing it in such amazing ways, but they need your help, right? It is not easy and it's not cheap. You can give today. Donating is so easy. You can take action and turn your extra car, truck, RV, even a boat into a true vehicle for change. You're going to be saving a paw to save a life. That is their motto, and they're doing such amazing things. You've got to check it out for yourself. Go to woundedpawproject.org. See the work they're doing. See how they're changing lives. Again, donating is absolutely easy. Proceeds are used to protect, advocate, and transform shelter dogs into service dogs for veterans, first responders, and their family. They recognize on average, over 20 veterans a day are committing suicide. These dogs are changing and saving lives, and it is amazing. Find out how you can give. Find out how you can help. They take cash as well. Call 844-678-4PAW. That's 844-678-4729, or visit woundedpawproject.org. Woundedpawproject.org. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show, where we reach across the aisle and occasionally poke someone in the eye.
I feel like every single guy over there needs a beating. It's wrong. They're messing with people's careers. I know we're all competitive and we're out there competing, but there's right ways to do it and wrong ways to do it. And I 100% disagree with the way they did it.
Yeah, Nick Markakis, baseball player, Atlanta Braves, not happy. A lot of people pissed off at Commissioner Rob Manfred and the way that he handled this entire thing, and how really, when you go and you look, the Astros got away with it, right? They did. The Astros got away with it.
I'm more than prepared to tolerate and listen to the debate and criticism about whether or not the punishments that have been levied in this case are sufficient.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think they are sufficient. They got immunity. Two guys got suspended for a year. Eventually, they were fired. And the Astros, they just don't seem to give a rat's.
When people say, the players should have been punished, I understand why people feel that way, because they did not do the right thing. And my reference to a perfect world was, if I was in a world where I could have found all the facts without granting immunity, I would have done that.
I would have done that, but you didn't. You absolutely didn't. And you should be embarrassed. And more players are coming out, big players. Mike Trout just slammed them, started laughing, says, you guys know how good I am, right? Could you imagine if I knew what was coming?
I mean, if they didn't get caught, they'd still be doing it. And, they're only doing this apology because they got caught. And there's there's a lot of feelings on it, and I know everybody around the league is really upset, and rightfully so, because it's really a disgrace to the game.
Yeah, sorry, you guys cheated. You're awful. What happened? And then they come out and they give this half-assed kind of apology, all of them across the board are like, well, and so-and-so won the MVP, but he was really good. You can't take that away from him.
What we did in 2017, yeah, it was an advantage. Yeah, it was wrong. Yeah, we feel bad about it.
No, you don't.
It's completely, it's just bad. It's just bad. It's a bad look for organization. It's a bad look for us players. But I'm here to tell you, Jose Altuve earned that MVP. That's his MVP, and nobody can take that away from him.
It should be taken away. You cheated. You guys cheated. You won a World Series that you guys shouldn't have won, or at least if the playing field was level, I'd like to see what that looks like. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
I think what we can do moving forward is learn and work extremely hard to regain the trust of baseball fans, and we know that won't be easy, but we feel the responsibility to do that.
It's not going to happen, right? In fact, it's gone to the point where Major League Baseball, the man, the myth, the legend, Rob Manfred, who basically handed down very little in this entire cheating scandal, has already come out and said, hold on.
I hope that I made it extremely clear to them that retaliation in-game by throwing at a batter intentionally will not be tolerated, whether it's Houston or anybody else. It's dangerous, and it is not helpful to the current situation.
Vegas over-under today, I think it's 82.5 or 83.5 hit batsmen. That's huge. They're going to get beaned, right? They're going to have balls thrown at them. There's going to be nasty. Could you imagine going in right now, you're a shortstop or a second baseman, and Turner of the Dodgers, his big flowing red hairs coming down there like a freight train? You don't think he's going to light him up? You know it is. It's already one of those things where he plays like a bat out of hell. It is going to be ugly. And it should be. You guys cheated, right? You guys cheated. And there's a difference between trying to get an advantage, standing on second, picking up little things, compared to what you guys did, which is a systematic cheating across the board. Sorry, don't buy it. And your half-ass, we're really sorry, but we deserved it, did not fly. Have fun. It's going to be a black and blue year. Cheaters. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Bloomberg tomorrow night on stage. Qualified today. I don't know what it looks like tomorrow night. That's going to be black and blue as well. They're going to smash into each other. They're going to throw things out. And I think right now, the momentum Bloomberg has and the presence that he'll have on stage, along with what Bernie's got going on, it's going to be big. It's going to be big. It's going to be uncomfortable for some of the other ones. Biden and Warren completely out of step. Buttigieg quiet. Klobuchar, Steyer's picked up a little bit. We'll see where it goes. 323-538-2423 is the text line. You can text that. You can tweet at us as well, at Chad Benson Show. Check out the Instagram. It is the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
It's on! It's on! He's made it. The Bloomy. will be on stage tomorrow night battling it up for the championship of the world. Not really, but he'll have a chance to at least get on stage with Klobuchar, with Buttigieg, with Biden, with Warren, with Steyer, and Bernie Sanders.
Michael Bloomberg is now in the next Democratic presidential debate Wednesday evening in Nevada. He did it by getting a fourth qualifying poll that puts him in double digits in 4 national polls. This poll, 19% in this new NPR Marist poll, behind only Bernie Sanders at 31%, and that reflects the new dynamic. Michael Bloomberg has suddenly become a front-running candidate for president.
It's real, right? It's so interesting. His plan all along, skip the first 4, right? Maybe the third and fourth, you go there, you make some noise, but your whole goal is what? The future. The future. So skip the first 4, Super Tuesday, make sure that your voice is heard everywhere. Every commercial, right? We hit him online. We hit him on television. We hit him on the radio. We got memes. We do so much. We make it so we cannot be ignored. And lo and behold, it is working. Lo and behold, it is going on. And slowly but surely, it is working. And it's getting under the skin of the likes of.
Buy the presidency, at least he's going to try to buy the presidency, by spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on TV ads.
First of all, can we just all admit everybody's trying to buy the presidency when it comes to advertising, right? Can we just admit that? The difference between him being Michael Bloomberg and Bernie, and much of what Bernie wants to do is Bernie does it with other people's money. Bloomberg, refreshingly, is doing it on his own. That's the reality of it.
I got news from Mr. Bloomberg.
Big
and that
news.
is the American people are sick and tired of billionaires buying elections.
I'm sick and tired of the crap that goes on during the elections. I'm sick and tired of the whining and the moaning and the begging for money. I'm sick and tired of having these awful debates, the first 3, 4, 5 of them, where you get God knows how many people on stage who all have maybe 60 seconds and they regurgitate the same thing over and over and over again with nothing new. I'm sick and tired of that. I'm sick and tired of the way that our entire political system now seems to be a reality television show. But I am very curious to see what happens tomorrow night. This is the first debate where I can say, I'm interested in this. I want to see what goes on here. I'm very much interested to see if these two are going to really hammer it out. What does Bloomberg have? What can he bring to the table? Now, over the weekend, the big talk was Hillary was going to be his running mate, and Hillary never shuts the door on anything. She never says never, but you need to come to her. You need to beg her. You need to plead to her. You need to fall down on your knees. That's what she wants. But I am curious to see what he will bring to these debates. How will they get into it? Is anybody going to challenge at all Bernie? And what if, again, it's a big what if your plans don't work? What if you can't pay for all your stuff? What if the things you're saying don't come to fruition? And they're going to hit him with, you're a racist, talk about redlining, all the things you've done, you're a horrible person, you're awful, you're evil. Think about this for just a second, though. This isn't just a fight for today for the Democrats. This is a fight for the future of the Democrats and the party itself. Because at the end of the day, if the last two standing in the Democratic Party is a Democratic socialist with a small d and a big S, because the reality is he is a socialist, not a Democratic socialist. The only Democratic part is the fact that he's running the Democratic primaries, but the reality is he's still an independent. He's a socialist. And a guy that was once a Republican, then an independent, and now a Democrat. If those two are it, what's that say about the party itself across the board? The Republicans decided Trump's it. This is where we're going. This is who we're going to be. This is how it's going to go. The problem is, and I've said this over and over again to many Republicans, is there's nobody behind Trump. You don't have Trump part deux. There is nobody behind. There's only one Trump. What happens here? It's really interesting to see where this goes. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can definitely check us out on Instagram and all the other things that you see out there. Last night, overnight, Boy Scouts filed for bankruptcy protection because they're a disaster.
The Boy Scouts see bankruptcy as a way to recover from the crush of lawsuits alleging molestation by scoutmasters. The filing puts those suits on hold while the court supervises the payment of some claims and a possible reorganization of the Boy Scouts.
I don't know what they're going to do. You've got this massive disaster with more and more people coming forward, telling their story of what took place over time, going back decades upon decades upon decades, and it is an absolute disaster, and it's a shame, and it's very much reminiscent and very similar to what took place in the Catholic Church scandal and the systematic way that they protected the Boy Scouts' name and reputation and the badge over kids and individuals whose lives have been altered in many cases forever.
The Scouts say they intend to use the Chapter 11 process to create a victims' compensation trust. Their president saying, quote, the BSA cares deeply about all victims of abuse and sincerely apologizes to anyone who was harmed during their time in scouting. Now, they also say scouting programs will continue for their nearly 2.2 million members.
I don't know how they do that. I don't know how they continue to go on. They have struggled mightily. And if you see the decline in Scouts, that has very little to do with this. It's just for decades, Scouts have been declining. Kids are looking for other things. Kids want things that are exciting. It's the same reason that baseball struggles. They want stuff that's exciting, that fits the here, the now. In a generation of selfies and instantaneousness, Scouts doesn't fit the bill. It's not cool. It's not fun. That's the way. My son, he does Scouts. He likes Scouts, doesn't love Scouts. He could take it or leave it. That's kind of the reality of it, and it's sad. But when I was a kid, I didn't like Scouts that much either. I was bored. And, even when I go, I always talk about the fact that with Scouts, it's like we went out to the Jamboree thing in San Diego last year, and they were trying to, show us some of the cool stuff that they're doing. And it's like, that's great, but there's a lot of other stuff that is just, it takes forever to get to the fun stuff. And the kids want other things. They do. They just want other things. I mean, baseball is the same thing. My son hates baseball with a passion. If I could tell him today, Jack, here's the deal. You'll be able to play college football, right? Maybe D2, maybe D1. You'll be a reserve and a backup, and you'll have a chance to get a degree and everything. Or you can be a surefire Major League Baseball player who goes, I'll take college football every day, Dad. I hate baseball. Yeah. So you couple a decline in enrollment and participation, now having to pay out millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars. I don't know how they survive. I would not be surprised if in the next 5 years they eventually dissolve. Something else will maybe take its place, but I don't know. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. We are going to answer the age-old question about...
It's the viral video dividing the internet. And now the woman at the center of that turbulent moment is calling for the male passenger sitting behind her to come forward. The unidentified man seated in the last row repeatedly hit the back of her seat after she reclined it, as she described to Fox News.
We're going to talk about that. What is the etiquette on an airplane in today's world when it comes to reclining or not to recline? Fair. Hey, speaking of airplanes, you're going to get on one. Probably going to have your iPad or whatever it is you've got, and you say to yourself, man, I got some headphones, and you know what? These things here with the stems, I don't like those things, and those things. Do what I did. Get Raycons. Raycons are amazing. Their E25s are the best yet. Seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, more compact design. What's that do? It gives you a nice noise isolating fit. They're incredible. Ray J put this company together. He put this company together in such a way where he knew when I wanted to create, he said, the earbuds. I don't want them to be stems or dangling wires. I want them to be stylish and cool, but most importantly, I want them to be about the sound quality. So he took them to all of his music friends, the people he knew in the industry, like Snoop Dogg and Cardi B. They gave it the seal of approval. You will love these. About half the price already of normal earbuds. You're going to save 15% on top of that. It is simple and easy. You go to buyraycon.com/Chad. That's buyraycon.com/Chad. 15% off. Save big. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Should you recline? Shouldn't you recline? We talk about it straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
Take it anymore! Well, get over it. It's time to forge a new path with your very own political cartographer, Chad.
Recline, not to recline. Everybody's seen the video of the guy who is punching in the back of a seat of a lady who is reclined. She's speaking out now. So you're on an airplane. You recline. This guy was eating. He's upset. She just kind of leans back and he's punching the chair. He's punching the chair. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's childish, but I get it.
By now, you've probably seen online of a man repeatedly hitting the back of a passenger's reclined plane seat.
The man behind me, as soon as we got in the air, I reclined, and he asked me if I would not, I would put my seat back up while he ate, which I did. And about 10 minutes later, he was done, and I put my seat back down, at which point he started full-on punching the back of my seat really hard, that I was flying forward.
Good. Chad. Now, President of Delta came out and said, you know what? You ask somebody if it's okay. You ask somebody if it's okay to recline. Right? This isn't the day that it used to be. It is now a sardine factory, right? They just pack them in there. They absolutely pack people in there now. And if you're over 5'3", you're going to get smushed. Drives me crazy. So you ask. She just seems like, well, I just leaned back. He was done eating.
At that point, I was trying to get the flight attendant's attention. She wasn't responding, so all I could think to do was to video the guy, and maybe I thought that would stop him. So I got my phone out, and I started videoing him, and at the beginning you'll see he says something to me like, what were you doing? I asked you to put your seat up while I ate. Right. And then as soon as I was done, you reclined again. And I thought, that's, I did exactly what you asked. And then you started punching me.
Now, there's better ways to handle things than the way he did. But the reality is just don't do it anymore. We're at that point in time. And you need to at least ask, right? We don't. Well, it's there, so I'm going to use it. So annoying. It is. I've had it. I fly enough that I get sick and tired of it. I think most people do. If you've been on an airplane, right? You lean back. It is absolutely annoying. I mean, you're already in a position where you're just crammed in there, and somebody's.
I'm just going to keep videoing this guy because nobody else was doing anything. And I thought he would completely stop, but he continued throughout. Then the flight attendant, when she finally did come around, she had an attitude with me and said, "What?" And I said, "The guy behind me is repeatedly hitting me." And she went back to him and changed personalities and was the kindest person in the world and said, "Oh, are you okay? It's really tight back here. I'm sorry." And then she said to me, "Delete the video."
Oh. Well, no, why would you do that when you have a chance to sue? You should sue for stress and for violence to yourself. And it's just, I don't do it. I don't buy it. You ask. I don't. When I get on an airplane, I don't do it unless there's nobody at all behind me. If there's nobody behind me whatsoever, then don't do it. But rarely does that happen anymore. And it is annoying. It is. And remember these planes, you're getting on a plane that you think, oh, this looks nice. It's got some of those planes were built in the 90s and in the 80s, right? Those things, I got on a plane 2 years ago. They still had an ashtray in the little armrest. Like you just don't do it. I'm sorry. You just turn around and ask, hey, say, look, is it okay if I lean back? Because a lot of times people say, yeah, it's no big deal. But you do it at the time, too, when nobody's eating, because it's eating, it's doubling more. But it's not even that. Think about this. How many of you on an airplane, you have your whatever it is, right? You got your iPad or your computer or whatever it is, not just eating, and you're trying to watch a show or whatever, and then just lean back, and all of a sudden now everything's in your lap. It is absolutely annoying. So I don't feel sorry for her. He should have just said, no, just don't lean back. It's that simple. And he couldn't lean back either, by the way, because he was in the back of the airplane. So there was nowhere for him to lean back. Just annoying. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. That is annoying, isn't it? Come on now. You don't get annoyed by that? Just a smidge? Just a smidge? Smidge. They're 6 years old, and so they're 6. And according to what's been happening in recent weeks, apparently that age of 6 seems to be the age when children turn out to be the most dangerous. What? Yeah, wait till you hear this. It's insane. Text the program 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text us. You can also check us out on Instagram. And check out thechadshow.com. Grab your podcast as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Well, I'm not sure they can stop him. And again, remember, this all comes against the backdrop of 2016 and all the complaints that Bernie Sanders made after, and a lot of rules changes, for instance, diminishing the role of the superdelegates that were made in response to the complaints from Bernie Sanders. So let's say that you could argue he got the most votes in Iowa, he got the most votes in New Hampshire. If he gets the most votes in Nevada, he's absolutely the front runner for the nomination.
Chris Wallace right there. Yeah, I don't know right now at this point if there wasn't a Bloomberg, if it would be over. I don't know. Is it possible? Yeah. Do I think it's going to happen? No, because I think Bloomberg still has a place to play in this. Even if that means keeping Bernie close to the pack, where others may pick up steam later on down the road, that is also a possibility.
He's also got a clear lane on the left because Elizabeth Warren seems in such trouble, while that more moderate lane is all clogged up. You got the Buttigieg caravan and you got the Klobuchar caravan. You got Joe Biden hanging on, and Super Tuesday, you now got Michael Bloomberg. So you could see them all cutting up that voting block while Bernie Sanders is winning on the other side. So it's going to be a very interesting political argument. Look, even if he has, let's say, the most delegates going into Milwaukee in July, the national convention, can you stop him? Should you stop him?
That's also something, too. Should you stop him? Should you? It's going to be a brokered convention at that point. If he can't get to the 1,900 he needs, it is going to be a brokered convention. And imagine this. You've got to go there and convince who's going to be his running mate. Don't know. What if it's Ilhan Omar? She's 38. She can run. Right? You got Ayanna Pressley and Rashid Tlaib, both in their 40s. They could be his running mate. Stacey Abrams apparently would love. Of course, Stacey Abrams failed to win her race in Atlanta, but she is very in Georgia. She's very excited to be vice president.
And while you're not running at the moment, a lot of people want to see you on that ticket.
I'm now getting the question a lot from folks. And the answer is, of course, I would be honored to run for vice president with the nominee. It's a bit disconcerting because it seems really obnoxious for me to say that out loud since I'm not, no one's asked me.
Yes, nobody's answered you, but you're very excited about it.
What I want people to understand is that the issue is, as a woman of color, especially as a black woman, this is an unusual position to be in for someone to be considered possibly the next vice president. And it would be doing a disservice to every woman of color, every woman of ambition, every child who wants to think beyond their known space for me to say no or to pretend, oh, no, I don't want it. Of course I want it.
You also see yourself running as president, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm sure she probably will. They love her. See, this isn't just about whether or not Bernie can win the nomination. You've got to be able to also make some of those people who are part of the establishment happy. They like Stacey Abrams. They love her. They see her as an upcoming star. They think all of those things. But we also, I don't know if Bernie would do that. I think Bernie would choose one of the squad. AOC's too young. So you got to that's gone. So you got to choose somebody from the squad, somebody who is going to match his think. And that is that super uber progressive side of things. People say, well, what if somebody like Klobuchar? Look, she is not, she would help him in middle America. But this is my thing with Bernie. Bernie wants people that think like Bernie. Bernie doesn't have time for anybody else.
I'm the only one on that debate stage when asked, do you have a problem with a socialist leading the Democratic ticket, that I said yes. And that is despite the fact that Bernie and I are friends. And my argument is that we don't just have to win an election by eking by a victory at 4 a.m. We've got to win big. And I'm the one with the track record that brings people with me, that wins in the reddest of red rural areas as well as suburban areas. People are much more pragmatic. They want plans and not pipe dreams.
Yeah. So I don't think it would be her. I think it would be somebody that is more in line with what Bernie's about than somebody they're reaching for. That's why, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Bloomberg, who qualified for tomorrow night's debate, gets to the point where it looks like it's between the two of them and he decides to get Hillary on board. That does change a lot of things. Say what you want about a younger generation that doesn't like Hillary and the Clintons and the Bushes and all of this. They're oligarchs and they're all... No. Here's the reality of it. That would make a lot of people smile over there. And at the end of the day, if it goes to a brokered convention, that may put him over it. That may put him over the hump. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at us. So last week we did a story. You guys might remember this young girl, Down syndrome.
A child's outburst in the Valley Forge Elementary kindergarten class drew a threat assessment and led to a police investigation we're told was initiated by the school district.
So 6-year-old girl, Down syndrome, did a little finger gun thing, threat assessment, police, the whole 9 yards. Six, mind you, with Down syndrome. Threat assessment, as you know, dangerous, very dangerous. I don't know what kind of finger gun she had. I don't know what was in the magazine. I don't know what caliber any of it was. I don't know if it was automatic, semi-automatic. I had no idea what it was, but apparently it was dangerous enough to call the police. Now we move to somewhere else because another 6-year-old also apparently uber dangerous.
No, you're not going to jail. This police body camera video shows a Duval County Sheriff's deputy leading a seemingly calm 6-year-old Nadia out of school on February 4th. In the car, the conversation continued.
This your first time riding in it? Ooh, cool. Do you have snacks? No, I don't have any snacks. I wish I did. I'm sorry.
The deputy is heard talking to another officer about Nadia's behavior while in her custody.
She's been actually very pleasant.
I think it's more of them just not going to deal with it.
So, Nadia, struggling there just a smidge, right? Thinks that, hey, what's going on here? Are we having some fun? What did I do? What did I do? Huh? I'm just curious. Police are here. Why?
At one point, it appears little Nadia did not understand where she was going.
Again, she's 6 years old.
Well, I call it a field trip. Anything away from school is a field trip, right?
The girl, who has ADHD and a mood disorder, was held in a mental health facility away from her mother for 48 hours.
What?
The girl's mother, Martina Falk, sitting with her attorney, broke down while watching the video.
I would lose my... I would absolutely lose it. My 6-year-old, you can't handle? My 6-year-old? You can't handle my 6-year-old? Are you kidding me?
They argue Nadia should have never been placed under Florida's Baker Act, which allows authorities to force a psychiatric evaluation on anyone deemed a threat to themselves or others, including children.
If you can't deal with a 50-pound child, 6-year-old, then you shouldn't be in education.
Officials with Duval County Public Schools say an initial review showed the school's handling was compliant both with law and the best interest of this student.
She's going on a field trip to hell. That's where she's going. And her life is forever changed.
I love what he said there. If you can't control a 6-year-old, then maybe you need to think about some other line of work. We have lost the plot in this, and we put teachers and administrators too much pressure on them with all of these weird rules, right? There's, no exceptions. Gone are the days when you'd slap little Jimmy in the back of the head and tell him to get his work done. Not hit him hard, but just, put your gun, stop it, right? Just do your stuff. Long gone are those days. Now we need to get a threat assessment team. We need to call the police. We need to go through all these checks and balances and the whole 9 yards. Well, Chad, what happens when they grow up and they kill a bunch of people? Are we doing this? Because based on the fact that she's got ADHD, I had no doubt in my mind, 0 doubt, that had been me. Right? Like, I have 0 doubt in my mind. Me and what I was like as a child, I would have been the Baker Act, right? Like, that would have been, the Cook Act, just making stuff up, the Candle Act, the Beeswax. It doesn't matter. They would have come for me. They would have. Because I was all over the place. I was bouncing off the walls. I was like Tigger. I wasn't mean, wasn't rude, didn't threaten to kill anybody, right? Although we played cops and robbers as a kid, and as you know nowadays, you can't do stuff like that. But there is no doubt in my mind they would have. I mean, I was so annoying that my 5th grade class, I remember this, Mr. Barnes, I think his name was my teacher. So he had been warned of me. So he didn't give me a chance. So the rest of the class was facing one direction. I was at his desk, which was behind them. So you walk in the door, you got his desk, and then everybody else and he's facing one way, and everybody else is facing that direction. But not me. I was sitting in front of his desk facing him. There's no doubt in my mind that had been me. But you know what he'd do? He'd hit me on the head, said, stop being a jerk. Right? That's it. And we get on with our lives. Calm down. Nowadays, threat assessment, police, right? Going to some sort of padded room to see and to have observation to see if maybe, just maybe, you're a threat. That is a sad state of affairs. And I do agree. Maybe, just maybe, you need to rethink some of these things. Some of these things you need to rethink. And I feel for the teachers who are in a situation now where they feel they have to follow all of these crazy rules, that common sense has completely gone out, and you've got to follow these rules to a T in such a way that it's just completely stupid. Completely. Right, who's a little bit crazy? My Sunday school class, I can tell, right? At any given week, I have between 15 and about 20, and I know who the kids are that are a pain in the butt. They're good kids by and large, but you know that they're trouble, right? You know that they're going to fight, and you know that they're going to, goof around, and they're going to be, you know who they are. Do I think at any moment any one of them is going to go, I could see this kid's going to be 25 and ready to blast? No, I don't think so. It's insane. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. Love hearing from every single one of you. Again, Bloomberg tomorrow night. Going to be on stage.
They're trying to figure out all kinds of ways. How do we stop Bernie and the movement? but they are not going to succeed.
We'll see. This Saturday, a caucus in Nevada, followed by South Carolina, not too far behind that. And then again on the 4th of March, that's the big day. That is Super Tuesday. That is when Bloomberg will be on stage. As far as being able to actually start, tomorrow night he's on stage in the debate, but that's when he'll be on stage in the sense where he could start grabbing some delegates and he'll be a part of Super Tuesday. Because the caucus in South Carolina, minus write-ins and a few other things, I don't think he's getting anything out of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. All right, my pillows. Last night I sat in the jacuzzi. Wasn't feeling well this weekend. A little bit of cold, right? And it was nice that I'd scheduled a day off anyways, and I just rested. But I sat in the jacuzzi late last night. It was really chilly. And got out, and I had one of my big new MyPillow towels. Boom. Just dried off really fast. Went back inside the house and passed out. It was awesome. MyPillow's incredible. These towels, 5 different designer color choices, luxury feel and look, super absorbent, extra soft, made in the USA, 100% USA cotton. You get a 60-day money-back guarantee. Right now, you can save 30%. Simple and easy. Now, here's the great thing about these. Why they're so amazing is the cotton's grown right here. It is USA cotton. So there's no fillers or cheap softeners. You wash them, they still stay fluffy and so nice. Go to MyPillow.com. Click on the brand new radio listener special. There's a little thing there, new radio listener special. Type in code Benson, you save 30%. Again, you get a 60-day money-back guarantee. MyPillow.com, new radio listener special, 30% off, 60-day money-back guarantee. All you have to do is enter code Benson, B-E-N-S-O-N. Chad Benson Show.
No need to fear. We promise we won't give you a noogie and make you cry Russia, Russia, Russia.
Who is the fearless leader?
Fui.
Fui, fui, and double fui.
What is your language? This is a family show, remember?
Fui to families too.
Nostrovia. This is Chad Benson.
Speaking publicly for the first time since the impeachment trial, overnight President Trump's former national security advisor bashed his old boss, accusing the White House of censoring his upcoming book. Bolton appearing on stage at Duke University, Bolton repeatedly teasing his book, in which he reportedly alleges President Trump was directly tied to the pressure campaign on Ukraine. The book now undergoing a security review after the administration claimed it contains classified information.
Yeah, by the way, as much as you may hate Trump, any president who had somebody leave the White House and wanted to write a book, you know that going in, that there's just certain things you can't talk about, and they essentially have the right of first refusal of what goes out. I don't think they'll block the whole thing. I'll think they'll take some things out of there. Now, will they take out the salacious stuff that everybody wants to know about? That I don't know. But they do have a right to say no. You go into these things. You sign NDAs. You know that there's certain things you can't disclose. If you go work for a major star, so let's just say you get hired on as a nanny, right? Or as an assistant or whatever it is. There are things they're going to ask you to sign. So you can't leave and just go, look at all these kind of things. Now, a lot of people try to break those things. But you know what happens when that happens. You get sued, and in many cases, you don't have the dollar bills, yo. Here's the big thing with Bolton. He's probably spent a lot of that $2 million advance, and he needs this book to come out. If it comes out and it doesn't sell, well, then you know what? That's on them. You tried something, you thought you were going to get it. If it doesn't come out, he's probably spent some of that money. They're going to be like, we need some of that money back. He's like, I've already spent it. Then there'll be other lawsuits. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Feel free to tweet at me. You can text the program as well. For those of you not keeping score, coronavirus is playing havoc not just on human beings, but also on the financial world.
I think it's important, though, for investors to realize that this damage is temporary, not permanent, meaning the iPhone sales that were not made in the months of February and perhaps in March will certainly get picked up in the second quarter and the second half. So I think that we look at this as temporary economic damage to Apple, but certainly facing it in the current quarter.
Yeah, and beyond, and that's the big worry for a lot of people, in particular Xi and everybody in China, is a slowdown in the economy because of this, and that's very real. Same thing in Japan, with them being ready to host the Olympics in less than 6 months' time. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. It is Lightstream, best thing around. What is it? Credit card consolidation loan from them with rates as low as 5.95% APR with auto pay, much lower than the average interest rate, which is well over 20%. How about this? $5,000 to $100,000 loans, no fees. You can even get your money as soon as the same day you apply. And right now, for my listeners, special interest rate discount. So simple. I talked to so many listeners, said I tried it, I loved it, I liked it. One lady said, I didn't think you could do it from your phone. I thought you were kidding. I tried it, did it straight from my phone, got the money within 3 days. You can be that person as well. Save yourself big time. Go to lightstream.com/Benson. Why? You can get a special interest rate discount. lightstream.com/Benson. Subject to credit approval. Rate includes 0.50% auto pay discount. Terms and conditions apply. Offers subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/Benson for more information. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. Bloomberg on stage tomorrow night against Bernie and everybody else. The battle of the billionaire and the socialist. Who's ready for fun? Have a good rest of your Tuesday. Go get some tacos. Night, night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.